Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the place where we take your curiosity, your research, and your travel dreams and deliver the fastest, most detailed path to becoming truly well-informed. Today, we are strapping on our virtual snorkel gear and diving into some of the most exclusive and, well, notoriously expensive turquoise waters on the planet.
Indeed. We are focused squarely on the Turks and Caicos Islands, TCI, specifically the main hub of Providenciales, or Provo, as everyone calls it.
Right, Provo.
This is a place so confident in its visual perfection that its license plates literally read, beautiful by nature.
The name itself carries this heavy weight of luxury. It conjures up those high-definition images you see all over social media.
Oh yeah, billionaires on private yachts, infinity pools that look like they're just flowing right into the ocean.
And that blindingly white sand, it almost looks fake.
It does.
So this deep dive is really tailor-made for you if you're actively considering TCI for a major luxury trip, or maybe if you simply need to benchmark where the world's most highly praised beaches stack up on that complicated scale of value.
But as you know, every deep dive has a conflict. And here, the beauty is aggressively challenged by the bill. When we talk about Turks and Caicos, we are also talking about a place where a 5-star hotel room can cost more per night than many people pay for a month of rent.
That's a great way to put it.
Where a casual dinner for two can easily top $300, and yes, that infamous $15 imported beer is a reality.
Ouch. That is the core conflict we have to resolve. We know it's beautiful. We've all seen the pictures.
Right.
But in a global market full of beautiful beaches, the Maldives, the Exumas, Bora Bora dos, TCI, truly offer the value and the experience to justify that astronomical price tag.
That was the mission we accepted. We spent a full week on Providenciales, meticulously logging our spending across accommodation, food, and activities.
Okay.
We sailed the reef, we explored the remote cays, we ate all the famous conch, and we explored key locations like the world-famous Grace Bay Beach, the ethereal Chalk Sound National Park, and the protected little water cay.
So you weren't just there to relax?
No, not at all. We were there to assess if the TCI experience really lives up to the financial investment that's required.
And crucially, we developed strategies, hard-won, expensive strategies, for the traveler who wants to maximize the experience while still managing to afford a plane ticket home. So let's unpack this and start with the logistics of simply getting to this curated slice of paradise.
Let's start with accessibility, because this is one of TCI's surprising strengths, especially when you consider its high-end, kind of secluded image. The main gateway is Providenciales International Airport, code PLS, and for most of North America, it's remarkably convenient.
I found the convenience factor to be a massive immediate bonus, especially when you compare it to trying to reach some of the smaller, less developed islands in the Southern Caribbean.
Oh, absolutely.
Which can often require, multiple hops and these long layovers.
Exactly. That ability to fly direct and avoid those regional puddle jumpers is a huge time and stress saver. From Miami, it's barely a 2-hour flight.
Wow, 2 hours.
From major East Coast hubs like New York, Boston, or Toronto, you're looking at about 3.5 hours, maybe 4. And there are direct flights now from hubs as far as Dallas and even Montreal.
So what you're saying is you can often depart in the morning and genuinely be settled in your resort with your swimsuit on and a cocktail in hand by mid-afternoon.
You really can. And that maximization of paid vacation time, not losing a full day to transit, is itself a form of luxury for the traveler who's paying these premium daily rates.
That's a key point.
That's the key metric for the discerning traveler. Time is money, and TCI respects that equation by making the journey really efficient.
Okay, but once you land, the reality of the small airport infrastructure sets in immediately.
It does.
I need to warn listeners, PLS is functional, but it is small. It's not a sprawling international hub. You walk across the tarmac, you enter the facility, and you realize this small building is designed to handle, maybe 2 incoming flights at the same time?
At most, and that's where the expectation management comes in. If 3 large jets land within an hour of each other.
Which happens all the time in high season.
All the time. The immigration process becomes a test of patience. We experienced waits of up to 45 minutes just standing in line.
And it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
It's just like the infrastructure hasn't scaled with the destination's popularity.
Exactly.
That's why that island time mindset has to start the moment you step off the plane.
Yeah.
Trying to rush through customs and immigration will only lead to frustration.
Right. Grab a book Embrace the warmth and remind yourself you're about to see Grace Bay.
Okay, let's talk about the absolute most crucial cost-saving strategy you have before you even book anything. Timing.
Yes. Analyzing the price variations based on the season is the single largest factor dictating the trip cost. No question.
We break the year down into 3 clear segments. First up, high season, running roughly from mid-December through Easter or the end of April. Tell us about the premium here.
This is the time of absolute weather perfection. It's when humidity is lowest, the skies are clearest, and the chance of a disruption is negligible.
So this is when TCI fully lives up to its immaculate reputation.
100%. But you are paying a huge surcharge for that guarantee. Hotel rates, villa rentals, and even flight costs can be 50 to 70% higher than the low season.
50 to 70. Wow.
You are essentially paying the ultimate price for flawless sunshine and guaranteed perfection.
That is the perfection tax.
It is.
So our recommendation, and where our deep dive team traveled, is the shoulder season. That's generally May through early June, and sometimes extends into late November before the holiday rush.
May is the sweet spot. It really is. The weather remains spectacular, the water is warm, the sun is blazing, but you start to see a noticeable, genuine reduction in prices, sometimes 20 to 30% off those high season rates.
Okay, but is there a catch? Is the weather still as good?
Mostly. Yes, you might get a 10-minute rain shower, but those showers are often a welcome relief, and they pass really quickly. For us, it's the best balance of value and guaranteed good weather.
But then you have hurricane season, which is typically June through November, with the highest risk concentrating in August and September.
Right, and this is the time when you find incredible deals. The hotel rates drop dramatically, sometimes offering savings of 40 to 50% compared to the high season.
So for someone seeking value, the numbers look very tempting.
Very tempting.
But I have to challenge this because this isn't just a simple gamble on rain. The risk of a major hurricane is real, and it can wipe out an entire planned trip. If I see a resort offering me half price in September, is it genuinely worth the risk?
It's only worth it if you adhere to one non-negotiable rule.
Yeah.
Comprehensive travel insurance.
Yeah.
And I mean comprehensive, the kind that covers weather cancellations, interruptions, and medical emergencies. Because the financial loss from a high-end trip like this being canceled due to weather is just too significant to absorb yourself.
So if you're budget conscious but flexible.
The shoulder season offers much better risk-adjusted value than chasing those deep hurricane season discounts.
That's sound advice. So once you've landed, navigated immigration, and committed to your travel insurance plan, you need ground transportation. This is another logistical wrinkle for North American travelers.
Indeed. A rental car is usually necessary unless you plan on spending your entire vacation exclusively within walking distance of Grace Bay.
And the big warning.
Be warned, TCI drives on the left.
And Provo features several roundabouts. When you combine driving on the left with trying to figure out which exit to take, while simultaneously remembering to look right first.
It can feel slightly disorienting, especially right after a long flight.
Yeah.
But the immediate reward is worth the initial stress. The drive from the airport to the Grace Bay area takes you down Leeward Highway, and you will eventually crest a hill, and the full blinding vista of the turquoise water just hits you.
I remember that moment.
That first glimpse is the moment the trip shifts from a financial transaction to a paradise realization. That is what you're paying for.
A sight that truly is priceless. Now, let's transition to that financial transaction, because accommodation is where the bulk of the cost lives.
This is the single largest financial component, and for first-time visitors, the accommodation decision starts and almost always ends with Grace Bay Beach.
Okay, so why is Grace Bay so essential? Why is it considered not just world-class, but often ranked the best beach in the world? We need to paint a vivid picture of its perfection.
It's the sheer consistency of its quality. Imagine 6 miles of sand so finely ground that it feels like flour or powdered sugar between your toes.
It really does.
There is virtually no offshore coral or rock, so entry into the water is gentle and easy. And critically, due to the reef structure and the water movement, there is almost no sargassum, no seaweed washed up on the shore.
Which plagues so many other Caribbean destinations.
It does, and the water clarity is truly the signature feature. It's not just blue, it's an electric, luminous turquoise.
Yeah.
You can stand chest deep and see your toes perfectly. It looks like a massive, impossibly clear swimming pool that just stretches to the horizon. It is the definition of pristine.
And lining that spectacular stretch are the flagship 5-star properties, which That's the luxury tier.
Right. This includes places like Grace Bay Club, the Ritz-Carlton, Seven Stars, and Waimara. They occupy the prime real estate.
When we analyze the rates, especially during the high season, the numbers are sobering. A standard entry-level room at one of these resorts can easily start at, what, $1,200, $1,500 a night?
Easily. And if you're looking for a suite or a multi-bedroom condo, you are rapidly crossing the $3,000 per night threshold.
So the question the curious learner has to ask is, what are you actually paying for at that price point? It's not just a nice room.
No, it's not just the marble bathroom. It is the intangible service elements. It's the impeccable groundskeeping, the assurance that the sand is raked perfectly every morning.
Right.
The dedicated beach attendants who recognize you after the first day, the immediate delivery of cool towels and signature rum punches right to your reserved chaise lounge.
You are paying for total frictionless serenity and absolute frontline access to that world-famous sand.
Exactly.
And for many high-end travelers, that total lack of hassle, combined with the aesthetic perfection, is the primary value justification.
But if the cost of the room is the biggest killer of the budget, there must be alternatives.
Right.
Which brings us to the villa alternative. Exploring private rentals, often found via sites like VRBO or local agencies.
The villa strategy is crucial, particularly for families or maybe groups of 4 or more adults. On a per-person basis, renting a large, well-appointed villa can bring the nightly cost down significantly compared to booking 2 or 3 separate resort rooms.
And the primary non-negotiable advantage of the villa, the reason it becomes a budget game changer, is the kitchen.
The kitchen.
We can't stress enough how important that kitchen is to managing the exorbitant TCI food costs, which we'll dive into shortly.
But there's a serious trade-off here. I have to challenge the idea that a villa is simply better value. You lose the instant convenience,
You do.
the on-site dining options, the security, and most notably, the immediate beach service. You have to handle your own groceries, your own cleaning, your own logistics.
That's the core friction point in TCI accommodation planning. Are you prioritizing the impeccable pampering and the feeling of never having to lift a finger, which is the resort value? Or are you prioritizing space, independence, and the ability to cook, thus drastically reducing your overall food spending?
For a first-timer seeking that iconic, effortless TCI experience, the resort usually wins, even at the cost.
It usually does.
For those looking beyond Grace Bay for specific purposes, let's briefly touch on other areas.
Sure. If you are an avid kiteboarder or are traveling with teens who love water sports, Long Bay Beach on the southern side of Provo is the place to be.
Why there?
It's more windswept and shallow, making it the preferred location for those activities. It's less manicured than Grace Bay, with fewer resorts.
Okay. And Turtle Cove Marina is often overlooked.
It is. It's an area with slightly smaller, more affordable condos, close to the marinas where all the boat excursions depart. It provides a more laid-back, community-focused feel compared to the glitz of Grace Bay.
But the key takeaway remains. If you are coming for that iconic, postcard-perfect experience.
Grace Bay is the location, and you must accept that accommodation will be the single largest defining factor of your travel budget. It sets the tone for everything else.
Since accommodation dictates the nightly spend, let's talk about food, which can quickly spiral out of control and threaten to meet or even exceed your lodging expenses if you aren't strategic. This is where we encounter the food paradox.
The food paradox is this. The quality of the food is very high fresh seafood, creative chefs, beautiful settings.
Right.
But the cost reflects not just the quality, but the intense logistical chain required to get that food to the island. You are paying a triple surcharge for ingredients, labor, and import fees.
Let's start with the island's local hero, the conch.
Yes.
If you go to TCI, you must embrace the conch in every form imaginable.
Yeah.
Cracked conch, which is tenderized and lightly fried.
So good.
Conch fritters, the perfect appetizer, zesty conch salad, and comforting conch chowder. It is the signature ingredient, and you have to seek it out fresh.
And to experience that freshness, you must visit the casual must-dos. These are the island institutions that provide the authentic, low-key Caribbean atmosphere.
You're talking about places like Conch Shack in Blue Hills and Boogaloo's on the south side.
Exactly.
The atmosphere at these places is phenomenal. They offer the experience surcharge. You are sitting at brightly colored picnic tables, often with your feet in the sand, watching local fishermen.
At Conch Shack, you literally see the piles of conch shells nearby, which just demonstrates how fresh everything is.
But here's the critical budget check. Even in this casual, rustic, toes-in-the-sand setting, the prices are still shockingly high compared to equivalent casual dining in, say, Puerto Rico or even Miami.
Oh, absolutely. Con fritters, which should be cheap, run about $18.
$18 for an appetizer.
A plate of cracked conch or grilled fish is going to be $28 to $35. And those famous rum punches, which are excellent, by the way, are going to cost you $15 to $20 each.
So if a family of 4 decides to eat lunch here every day, they will rack up $1,000 in food expenses very quickly, even without high-end dinners.
Very quickly. That's because the price is inflated by the location and the fact that most ingredients, even things like cooking oil, seasonings, and imported produce, carry a substantial import tax.
It is a small market with high overhead.
Ex-
Now, if we move to the high-end indulgence, this is where you pay the ambience surcharge. The dining scene is truly top tier, designed for romance and spectacle.
The most famous establishment and the one that requires the most pre-planning is Coco Bistro.
Oh, Coco Bistro.
It's set under a grove of stunning palm trees, giving it a truly magical fairy tale ambiance. The food is exquisite, fresh catches of grouper and snapper, often with innovative local twists.
Logistically, if you want to eat at Coco Bistro, you need to book your reservation.
What?
At least 2 to 3 months in advance.
At least. Especially during the high season, it is not a place you can decide on spontaneously. The second you book your flight, book your table.
Good advice.
And similar high-end spots like Infinity Restaurant or Parallel 23 exemplify this ambience surcharge. Dinner for 2, including appetizers, mains, and a modest wine list selection, will easily run you between $350 and $450.
Wow.
The focus is local seafood prepared flawlessly, but the premium is for that curated, unforgettable setting.
Okay, all this talk of $400 dinners and $30 lunches leads us to the single most crucial money-saving tip we can offer. The one thing that stops the food budget from just swallowing your entire vacation fund.
Utilizing the Graceway IGA supermarket.
The IGA.
This IGA is a genuine lifeline for travelers with a kitchen or even a mini fridge. It is modern, clean, and surprisingly well-stocked. It often carries familiar brands from the U.S. and Canada.
Right. They have a fantastic deli, prepared hot foods, and a decent butcher section. The strategy is essential. Stock up immediately. Buy breakfast items, yogurt, granola, eggs, plus sandwich fixings, drinks, and snacks.
By making your own breakfast every morning and packing lunch for 3 or 4 beach days out of 7, you can realistically cut your food budget by 30 to 40%.
However, I have to inject some friction here. You mentioned the IGA is a budget savior, but if I'm paying $12 for a box of cereal and $15 for a carton of milk, is it truly a savior, or am I just saving myself from the $40 resort breakfast buffet?
It is a relative savior. You are correct. You will experience sticker shock. You are still paying that import tax.
Okay.
But compare that $12 cereal box to the $25 plate of pancakes at the resort, or the $30 plate of Eggs Benedict. The IGA purchase, even with the high price, saves you $13 to $18 per person per meal.
And that adds up to hundreds of dollars over a week.
Exactly, which you can then strategically reallocate to that one high-end dinner you booked months ago.
The other key strategy for drinks: skip the imported specialty beers.
Yes. Your most budget-friendly option for alcoholic drinks is the local brew, Turks Head beer. It's reasonably priced and it's refreshing.
So, in synthesis, to make TCI dining worthwhile, you must adopt the strategic mindset. Mix 2 or 3 casual, authentic spots with one major high-end splurge.
And cook the rest of your meals utilizing the IGA. Failure to adhere to this disciplined food strategy will almost certainly lead to budget frustration and disappointment.
That level of planning is required because TCI doesn't offer a budget fallback. The cost floor is simply very high.
Very high.
All right, let's move into the part of the experience that is meant to justify the expense. If the cost of the trip is astronomical, the payoff must be monumental. And that priceless payoff lives almost entirely in the water.
The water is the main event. If you traveled to TCI and only stay within the confines of your resort pool, you have profoundly wasted your money.
Completely.
The entire justification for the cost is the unparalleled marine environment.
Which brings us to the single, non-negotiable activity: booking a boat excursion.
You have to do it. TCI is home to the world's 3rd largest barrier reef system.
3rd largest.
This means the diving and snorkeling visibility is truly world-class, often exceeding 100 feet. The reef is vibrant, healthy, and easily accessible.
I remember our half-day trip. We saw sea turtles feeding on seagrass beds almost immediately. Then we encountered these massive, docile stingrays gliding over the fan flats.
Hmm.
The visibility gave the feeling that the fish were swimming in a perfectly temperature-controlled glass tank. It was unlike anything I had experienced in the nearby Bahamas.
Most tours incorporate a few key stops. The snorkeling sites are selected for their clear, shallow water access to the reef wall. For example, sites near the Caicos Bank offer incredible viewing opportunities for species like reef sharks and colorful parrotfish.
And then there's the land-based fascination included on almost all these tours. Little Water Cay,
Also known as Iguana Island,
Iguana Island.
right, this is a protected sanctuary for the native, endangered Turks and Caicos rock iguana. You follow these designated boardwalks, and these creatures, which look like miniature prehistoric lizards, are they're everywhere, basking in the sun.
It's a truly unique wildlife encounter that you won't get in many other Caribbean spots.
It really is.
Beyond the wildlife, the boat trips are just pure island indulgence. They typically stop at deserted sandbars for sand dollar hunting, and they keep the famous rum punch flowing freely.
They do.
Group tours typically run about $125 to $150 per person for a half-day excursion, which, given the experience, is one of the better values on the island.
It's a great value. Private charters offer immense flexibility for families or those who want to set their own pace, but be prepared for costs starting around $800 to $1,500 for a half day.
That's a significant jump.
It is, but for a large group, it might be worth the privacy.
Now, for those who want that snorkeling experience without the boat cost, TCI offers accessible shore snorkeling at the Bight Reef, also known as Coral Gardens, and Smith's Reef.
These spots are phenomenal. They're located directly off Grace Bay and are buoyed to protect the coral. The shallow entry makes them ideal for beginners.
And you have a great anecdote about this.
I do. At the Bight Reef, you can often see these large, beautiful green sea turtles that casually swim right up to the shallow areas to graze.
I remember we were standing in water that was maybe 4 feet deep, and suddenly a sea turtle, maybe 3 feet long, just swam past us.
Completely unbothered.
Completely unbothered, maybe 20 feet from shore. It was just casually feeding. That ease of interaction, the ability to see such significant marine life right from the beach, it just speaks volumes about the health of the ecosystem.
And the quality of the TCI waters. That ease of access makes these shore reefs a massive value addition to the TCI trip, as you don't have to pay for a boat every time you want to snorkel.
Beyond the reef, there is another geographical marvel you absolutely must visit, Chalk Sound National Park.
Chalk Sound, located on the far southwest side of Provo, is geographically stunning and visually unique. It's a massive, shallow lagoon protected from the open ocean by a narrow peninsula.
And the water there is a color that it defies description. It's an electric, milky turquoise, almost fluorescent.
That's a good way to put it. This is due to the high concentration of calcium carbonate, the limestone sediment suspended in the shallow water. It reflects the sunlight in a way that makes it look like you are paddling through liquid electricity.
It is truly an on-another-planet feeling.
And because motorboats are banned, the park is incredibly serene. Renting a kayak or a paddleboard is the only way to explore the tiny, countless cays dotting the lagoon.
This is one of the most Instagrammable, yet most peaceful experiences TCI offers.
Yeah,
It provides a beautiful contrast to the active ocean reef.
it does.
Finally, for a beautiful, non-water-centric break, we must highlight the immense feel-good value of Tot Cake Place.
This is a remarkable dog rescue charity operating in the Grace Bay area. It's dedicated to finding homes for the local mixed-breed dogs, affectionately called potcakes.
And their unique program allows visitors to participate in the socialization process.
Yes, you can volunteer to take a puppy out for a socialization walk on the beach.
It is exactly as wonderful as it sounds.
It really is. You check out a puppy, get a little supply bag, and spend an hour walking them, playing with them, and socializing them. This exposure helps the dogs get used to human interaction and, crucially, prepares them for eventual adoption.
Often by visitors from North America.
Very often. And it costs nothing, though donations are encouraged, making it an incredibly heartwarming and zero-cost way to spend some time.
So when we analyze the payoff, it is undeniable.
Yeah.
The water quality, the third largest barrier reef, the accessibility of marine life, the unique beauty of Chalk Sound, and the surprising charm of Potcake Place.
These are the elements that provide the memories and the intrinsic value that fundamentally justify the high cost.
They are the priceless element of the TCI equation. You pay the high price for the logistics, but you receive the world's best water.
That's the trade.
Now that we've covered the cost and the experiences, let's pivot to maximizing that return on investment. We need to discuss what you can skip to cut unnecessary costs and avoid potential disappointments.
Yes, because strategic sacrifices are necessary here.
Definitely.
First, let's manage expectations around nightlife and culture. TCI is not a party destination.
Not at all.
If you come here expecting the lively late-night scene of Cancun or San Juan, or even parts of the Dominican Republic, you will be disappointed.
Absolutely. Provo's downtown is essentially a collection of shopping plazas and a few banks. The focus is squarely on quiet luxury, high-end dining, and relaxation. It gets very quiet after 10 p.m. If deep historical immersion, vibrant local street culture, or late-night entertainment are priorities for you, skip TCI entirely.
Save your money for a place like Havana, or even Cartagena.
Exactly.
Next, let's deeply analyze the full-week car rental decision. As we discussed, they are necessary for exploration, but they are expensive. A mid-sized car can easily run you $350 to $500 for a week.
Plus, very expensive imported gas.
Right.
And the risk of getting comfortable driving on the left and making an error on those chaotic roundabouts is real. I challenge this, though.
Right.
If I skip the car, how do I get to Chalk Sound? How do I get to DeConte Shack? Taxis must also be expensive, right?
They are expensive, but strategically, they are the better choice if you are staying in the core Grace Bay area.
Explain that.
For example, a round-trip taxi ride from Grace Bay to Chalk Sound might cost you $100 to $120. If you only make 3 or 4 excursions out of the Grace Bay radius, say one to Chalk Sound, one to the Shacks, and one for a deep grocery run, you still save money compared to paying for a full 7-day rental, plus the insurance and gas costs.
So you had to do the math based on your itinerary.
You do. For a short, highly relaxing trip, skip the rental.
My personal skip advice is shopping. Specifically, designer boutiques and gift shops. You are not going to find local, handcrafted bargains. You will find high-end resort wear and jewelry sold at peak resort prices. Focus your budget on the experiences, the boat trips, not the souvenirs.
And we must caution adult travelers against the all-inclusives with one major caveat. While beaches caters wonderfully to families with young children, if you are a couple or an adult group, opting for the all-inclusive buffet locks you into a limited dining experience.
And you end up missing out on the island's best ambiance. Coco Bistro, the seaside shacks. You paid a huge price to come to TCI. Don't limit yourself to the buffet when the true value lies in the strategic splurges on the unique dining atmosphere.
That undercuts the entire purpose of selecting this high-end destination. So skip the expectation of nightlife, skip the full-week car rental if staying central, skip the designer shopping, and think very carefully about limiting yourself to all-inclusives.
Focus that money on the water and the unique dining scenes.
Exactly.
Now let's synthesize the overall atmosphere, the TCI vibe. After spending a week tracking data and enjoying the sunshine, what word defines the place?
The word we settled on, and the only word that truly fits, is polished.
Polished.
TCI is safe, it's spotlessly clean, it is orderly, and the infrastructure is incredibly well maintained. The roads are good, the grounds are manicured.
That curation is intentional. It is designed to be a frictionless paradise. The U.S. dollar is the currency, English is the official language, and the service staff are professional.
This high degree of Americanization makes it incredibly easy and stress-free for North American travelers. It removes a lot of the logistical hurdles you might face in less developed or less financially integrated islands.
So it caters heavily to travelers who pay a premium for that absolute guarantee of cleanliness, safety, and order.
It's a curated escape. However, despite the polished appearance, the service culture still operates on what we call island time.
That's a crucial distinction. The service is friendly, it is professional, but it's not fast.
Yeah.
Do not expect transactions to be rapid or meals to be delivered at a frantic pace. If you are seeking hyper-efficient, high-speed service, TCI is not the place.
You must adjust your pace to the slower rhythm of the island, and that vibe defines the target audience perfectly. TCI is geared toward couples, honeymooners, and luxury anniversary travelers seeking quiet romance and absolute serenity.
It's also ideal for families with young children because the water on Grace Bay is so calm, shallow, and safe. So the conclusion of the vibe is that TCI is beautiful by nature, but it's also beautiful by design. A very intentional design. Created for the high-end traveler who expects pristine conditions and is willing to pay an enormous surcharge for that ultimate serenity and frictionless experience.
It knows its niche and it executes it flawlessly. Now, we arrive at the final synthesis. We have weighed the costs of perfection against the payoff of priceless memories.
Okay, after tracking all the costs, the $1,500 room, the $400 dinner, the $150 boat trip, is Turks and Caicos worth it?
This is the moment of truth, and my verdict remains a conditional yes. It is one of the toughest value equations because the floor price is so high.
Unpack that conditional yes for us one last time.
It is absolutely worth the price tag if you're celebrating a significant life event, a honeymoon, a major anniversary, a retirement, and you have the disposable income where paying the high price doesn't cause financial stress. You are paying for a memory and a backdrop of unparalleled beauty, and TCI delivers that on a silver platter. It is also worth it for high net worth families who prioritize safety, convenience, and pristine conditions above all else, where the cost barrier is secondary to the quality guarantee.
And what about the flip side? What is the condition for the absolute no?
It is definitively not worth it for the budget-conscious traveler, the backpacker, or the person seeking deep cultural immersion or intense adventure.
Why not?
Trying to navigate TCI on a strict budget, forcing yourself to skip the boat trip or only cook pasta in your villa, defeats the purpose. Your money will go much, much further and provide a richer, more diverse experience in places like Southeast Asia, Costa Rica, or even other parts of the Caribbean where the entry costs are lower.
So trying to do TCI on the cheap leads to intense frustration, not satisfaction.
Exactly.
For me, I land squarely in the resounding yes category. I view TCI not just as a vacation, but as a deliberate investment in perfection.
What seals that deal for you? Where does that value proposition become undeniable?
It's the combination of the flawless, flower-like sand, the stunning geological uniqueness of Chalk Sound, and that incredible clear-as-glass water that allows those close-up sea turtle encounters. You are paying for a level of curated serenity and safety that is hard to find globally. Those specific unforgettable moments, the boat trip, the sunset over Grace Bay, the quiet paddling on the electric lagoon, those fully justified the investment for me. It is a world-class special occasion destination.
So there's your definitive synthesis. TCI is a 5-star paradise, but it requires 5-star planning and a 5-star budget.
That is all the time we have for this week's deep dive into Providenciales. We hope this has equipped you with the necessary data to decide if this curated perfection is right for your travel goals.
Before we sign off, here is one final provocative thought for you to consider. Since TCI is so intentionally structured around pure relaxation, serenity, and high-end convenience, what financial value do you personally place on the concept of stress-free travel?
That's a great question.
How much is that perfect, predictable, curated experience worth to you when compared to an equally beautiful but logistically more challenging destination that might save you thousands? That is the ultimate decision you must make when considering Turks and Caicos.
A wonderful question to ponder as you plan your next escape. Join us next time as we dive into a completely different subject and continue to arm the curious learner with surprising facts and essential knowledge.